could have eaten the dough just as it was. It doesn't taste bad, but
Most of Coach Greg's recipes do rise up.
this can't be what Greg was going for.
Hey guys, welcome back to the channel. Welcome back to this place where we cook anabolic goodness. Today we're going back into the Coach Greg Doucette Ultimate Anabolic Cookbook 2.0, and we are taking a look at the Cinnamon Raisin Squares. Now these are technically under the cookie section. Not quite sure if it's going to be more like a cookie or more like a slice of cinnamon raisin bread. We'll have to put it together and find out, but it's one of those recipes where we're adding together some wet ingredients, adding together some dry ingredients, combining those two into some anabolic goodness, putting them into a loaf pan, baking it up, and doing our taste tests. It's that simple. You guys ready to get after it? Because I am. Let's get it going. Okay, let's go over the ingredients we're going to use today. First up is egg whites, naturally. Yet again, unsweetened applesauce, vanilla casein powder, raisins, ground cinnamon, ground nutmeg, baking powder, baking soda, and a whole ton of Splenda, or any 0-calorie sweetener. So the first thing that we need to do here is add together our wet ingredients, and the good news is there's only two. We're starting here with 180 grams of egg whites. 180 grams on the money. And our second wet ingredient is 570 grams of our unsweetened applesauce. On the money. Okay, and then we're taking our wet ingredients, all two of them, giving them a good mix. And just like that, the wet ingredients are done. Short and sweet. Like, comment, subscribe. Do all three. Come on. Okay, and next up, we're doing our dry ingredients. We're going to start with the most tedious one there is, and that is our 24 packets of Splenda. Let's get it going, get them in as soon as we can. Longest part. Here we go. And there you have it, the biggest bowl full of 0-calorie sweetener ever. Alright guys, and next it's time to put in our 300 grams of our vanilla-based casein protein here. It's about 9 scoops. We're just gonna dump it. By far the most protein powder I've ever put into a bowl. Alright, then we need 120 grams of raisins. It said tier here, but that wasn't happening. 120 grams of raisins going in. That last one did it. Done. Then we need 7.5 grams of baking powder. Then we need 3/4 of a teaspoon of our baking soda, which is approximately 4 grams. Then we need 12 grams of our ground cinnamon. 12 exactly, good. And last but certainly not least, again, 3/4 of a teaspoon of the nutmeg, which is again approximately 4 grams. Realize that I probably should have waited before I put the raisins in to do our siffering, but we're gonna do our best to siffer the dry ingredients with the raisins in there. We'll give it a good mix first. Try to get it as incorporated as we can, and then we'll do a little bit of siffering with our raisins spilling over the top. Again, won't make you watch all of it, but don't sleep on this. Like I've said before, very important step. Get all those dry ingredients well integrated before you add it to the wet ingredients. It makes a huge difference on how your recipe is gonna cook up. Always does, always will. Alright guys, we've sifted it all together. Now it's time to combine the wet and dry ingredients. By far the easiest step of the whole process. Have our wet ingredients here, and they're going in. Scrape down the bowl. You don't want to miss any of the applesauce or that anabolic egg white goodness. And then we just combine everything well. It's looking a little dry. I've had this happen before with mixes though. I think if we just keep stirring it longer than last time, and it should all incorporate and be a wet mixture. Wet mixture. Don't say it. Don't say it. I'm gonna need a bigger spoon. Really kind of fold over the bottom onto the top. Make sure you get all that dry ingredient mixed in with the wet. Folding it over again. Get it all incorporated. And mix longer than you think you need to. So mix longer than last time. Alright, I think we're good to transfer it over into our loaf pan. Here we go. It's an up close look of what it looks like once it's all combined. See all those raisins in there? Everything's well mixed together. Now it's time to transfer it to our pan. Of course, before we transfer it, you know we have to add in some non-stick cooking spray. We don't want this to be impossible to get out. And let's add it in. Definitely gonna fill the loaf pan up. Kind of press it down, mold it in there. Still got a little bit left. Does look like it's all gonna fit though. This I'm sure is gonna rise up a little bit too. Most of Coach Greg's recipes do rise up. Rise up to greatness. Sorry, had to. All right, a little bit more in the bowl here. Smooth out the top as best we can. We want a nice even bake. Fill in the corners. Press down, and fill in, nice and even here. Because I'm a perfectionist, I'm just gonna spray a hand here. I'm gonna pat it down so that it's nice and flat. Make sure we have it all incorporated on the edges. You don't have to do this. I'm just crazy. That's what we got. We got our oven preheated to 325 degrees. We're gonna bake it for 25 to 30 minutes and see what kind of anabolic goodness this gives us. Here we go. Oh my God, just took it out of the oven. Let's take a look at it. Guys, do you see this? I'm not sure why this was in the cookie section, but it smells delicious. It looks delicious. And I think it's time we slice it up and give it a try. Let's do it. Alright guys, so I had it in for about 28 minutes. I just tried to slice what I just showed you and it was a little too gooey in the center. Didn't cook all the way through, so I'm gonna put it back in there for 3 to 5 minutes. We'll take it out, see if it slices a little bit more solid. I tried a little bit of it already. I cheated, I know. And it does taste good, but you don't want it to be too much like batter. You want it to actually be a cinnamon square. So we'll cook it up for another couple minutes and then we'll pull it out, try to slice it again, and then we'll do our taste test. So I don't know what happened with this recipe, but these do not look like cinnamon raisin squares at all. I put it back in there for like another 10 minutes, so it was closer to 35, 40 minutes. First took them out, they were way too gooey. And they really didn't cook up much after, and then they just kind of collapsed. That's the bottom. I had to turn the pan over just to get them out of it. I don't know. These don't look like squares at all. We'll see what they taste like, but might need your help on this one. We fixed the chocolate cookie explosion cookies. I need to fix this one too. All right, let's taste it, see what it's like. Okay, so we go into these things hoping that they're all going to be winners, and so most of the time, they are. This one doesn't seem to be. So I cooked the first time to 27 minutes and I got that gooey mess there that's kind of solidified from sitting out a little bit. And these are supposed to be squares. They came out, now they look more like biscotti than a square, and you can't even really pick them up. Even with an extra 10 minutes, they didn't really cook through. I don't know if this maybe wasn't the best pan to use. The recipe says loaf pan. I don't know, but it didn't work. These are not squares. So I tried a little bit of the gooey one when it was out, and it didn't taste bad. And actually, now that these have cooled, they've kind of actually hardened a little bit, but I can't imagine this was how it was supposed to come out, because that doesn't look like a square. And I can't even pick this up because it falls apart. See? That don't look like a square. I used the casein protein, so that's not it. Have all the ingredients in there. So that's not it. We'll try it. Maybe it's one of those things that doesn't look good but tastes good. The bottom kind of burnt a little bit, I think from overcooking it when I put it in for the extra time, but I checked it every 3 minutes and it wasn't solidifying anymore in the middle. So I did the toothpick test, stuck the toothpick in the center, nothing came out. So I'm not sure why it's still this gooey, but moisture is definitely not a problem on these. We'll try it, see what they taste like. Here we go.
Definitely cinnamon raisin, and the nutmeg really comes through on this too. And the bottom's a little chewy. The center's actually pretty good, but to be honest, I could have eaten the dough just as it was, so that could be why. You try to get a piece that's not burnt on the bottom here. And try that. It still tastes like half cooked. I think if I cooked it any longer, the bottom part was gonna burn a lot. I did it at the right temperature, 325 degrees. It says 25 to 30 minutes. I initially did it for 27, and I got that gooey mess. I don't know if I was just maybe supposed to let it cool in the pan for a little bit, because now that these pieces have cooled, they are a little bit more solid, but they're still kind of a mess, and obviously they're not squares, so I don't know. Why don't you guys tell me what you think I did wrong on this one, and maybe we can try to fix it, but this can't be what Greg was going for. No way. It doesn't taste bad, but it doesn't taste great either. It's not an 8 out of 10. It's probably a 3 out of 10. I think that's worse than the chocolate cookie explosion just because, they don't taste as bad as that because they're not dry, but this isn't good. It's edible, you could eat it, but it's not something you're like, oh yeah, can't wait to have more of those Cinnamon Raisin Squares, or biscotti, as this mostly looks like now. You guys tell me, what do you think? Did I use the wrong pan? Any ingredient substitutions you guys can think of? Let's talk about it in the comment section. Maybe we can fix these like we did the chocolate cookie explosion cookies, because this ain't right. Yeah, no, that's not it. I don't even want to keep eating it. It's like, it's soft and mushy. This isn't right. Maybe we'll try this one again. If you guys have any suggestions, let me know. Oh, see you in the next one. Bye.
Guys, I almost forgot. Buy his frickin' cookbook, would you?